Hey babes, let's get into, in my opinion, 5 of the greatest love stories of the 2000s. Is it just me, or do we all collectively miss the early 2000s? From the music, the games, the great outdoors, to the movies that literally left a mark on our hearts still to this day. There's just something about this time that I just simply cannot let go. Sometimes on a sunny, carefree Saturday, when I get those, I will just go on a deep dive of early 2000s movies just to relax. I swear it gets rid of my anxiety and helps me forget about all the cares of the world. So let's get into it. Here are my favorite love stories of the early 2000s. Comment below your favorites and if we share any. Making this list, after I finished everything and I got everything together for this video, I realized I didn't pick not one black film. So I'll dedicate a different video to black films you should check out that are love stories, and also the fact that it's really hard to find them. Anyway, my first pick, number 5, is P.S. I Love You, starring Hilary Swank and Gerald Butler. The film was released in the United States on December 21st, 2007 by Warner Bros. At the time of its release, it was met with criticism, being directed at Swank's performance and the writing. However, it was a box office success and grossed $156 million worldwide against a $30 million budget. In 2019, Swank expressed interest in adapting the follow-up book into a second film. So maybe in the future, it's been a lot of years, so I don't know. Maybe we'll get a P.S. I Love You too. Holly and Jerry are a married couple living in Manhattan. They fight occasionally but are deeply in love. One winter, Jerry dies of a brain tumor, causing Holly to withdraw from her family and friends out of grief. On Holly's 30th birthday, Hilary Swank definitely doesn't look 30 in this movie. She looks a little older. Anyway, a cake is delivered along with the cassette that holds a recording from Jerry. The first of several meaningful messages, all ending, P.S. I Love You, which he had arranged to have delivered to her after his death. Holly's mom, Patricia, who never warmed to the idea of her marrying Jerry when she was 19, is not pleased, worried that it will keep Holly tied to the past. As each season passes, Jerry's messages fill Holly with encouragement to continue living. Having organized for Holly and her 2 best friends, Denise and Sharon, to travel to his homeland of Ireland, they arrive at a beautiful house in the Irish countryside and find a letter addressed to each of them. One asks Denise to take Holly to his favorite pub. While there, Holly meets William, a singer who strongly reminds her of Jerry. He dedicates a song to her. Upon hearing it, she is overcome with emotion and walks out, realizing it was the song Jerry sang to her when they first met. Out fishing on the lake, the women lose their boats, leaving them stranded. As they wait for help, Sharon announces that she's pregnant and Denise reveals she's getting married. Their news causes Holly to relapse and emotionally and begin to withdraw into herself again. They are eventually rescued by William, whom Sharon and Denise invite to stay the night because of the rain. Unable to deny their feelings for each other, William and Holly have They later have a conversation about Jerry, and when Holly mentions his parents who she wants to go and visit, William realizes she is the widow of his childhood friend. Holly panics, but William calms her down by telling her stories about his and Jerry's friendship. The next day, Holly visits Jerry's parents, and while there, receives another letter reminding her of how they met. Arriving home, Holly continues to withdraw from her life, but is later inspired to start designing women's shoes after finding one of Jerry's suspender clips on one of her heels. She enrolls in a design class, and over time, her newfound confidence allows her to emerge from her solitude and genuinely embrace her friend's happiness. Holly also goes out to dinner with an old friend, Daniel, who reveals he has always had feelings for her. Knowing Holly doesn't return the same feelings, and after she calls him Jerry by mistake, Daniel leaves the restaurant. While on a walk with her mother, Patricia hands Holly a final letter from Jerry, revealing she was the one whom he had asked to deliver all of the messages. She says she didn't think it was appropriate, but also couldn't say no to him. Holly returns home to voicemail from Daniel. They meet at Yankee Stadium. She asks him to read the letter. In it, Jerry tells her not to turn away from new love. Holly and Daniel share a kiss, but then decide they are better staying as friends. Later, Holly takes her mother on a trip to Ireland. By chance, they meet William, and he expresses his wishes to see her again. Honestly, I love this movie. The first time I watched it, I cried like a baby because I just felt so bad for Jerry. But I didn't understand the whole concept of her becoming a shoe designer. I mean, we never get to learn what her job was before Jerry died, so I guess them just throwing in this random passion that she has and it helps her get out of depression, I guess it makes sense. But Hilary Swank isn't your typical, rom-com girl. She doesn't look like a rom-com girl. I mean, if you remember, The Office dedicated a whole segment to her on if she's hot or not.
You've got no taste, Stanley Hudson.
Oh, I do.
What are you guys talking about?
Some actress, whether she's hot.
Who's the gal in question?
Hilary Swank.
Ah, Hilary Swank.
And they didn't think the movie would do good because they picked Hilary Swank as the main interest, but I mean, it works for the movie. It's like a homegrown movie. I find her rather endearing in the film, and I'm really convinced she loves this man. She was in love with Jerry. Her emotions really came through. And this is also the only film I enjoy Gerald Butler in. Typically cannot stand hearing this man talk because his voice is so raspy, and I think he's from Europe, so he has an accent and it's hard to understand what he's talking about. Since the movie is in Ireland, it kind of fits his voice and his accent, so it makes sense. So if you're into seeing a nice little very subtle, all the tones in the movie are really dark, this is a movie you watch at night and you just want to relax and you just throw it on and you have yourself a nice little cry, check out P.S. I Love You, starring Hilary Swank. Number 4, Tuck Everlasting. 15-year-old Whitney Foster is from an upper-class family in the town of Tree Gap in 1914 and wants to make her own choices in life. After being told that she will go to a boarding school, she runs off into the forest where she meets Jesse Tuck. He's drinking from a spring at the foot of a great tree. She is kidnapped by his brother Miles and brought back to the Tucks' home, where they tell her they will return her as soon as they can trust her. She becomes enamored with their slow and simple way of life and falls in love with Jesse. She learns that by drinking water from a magic spring around 100 years ago, the Tucks cannot age or be injured, and that they kidnapped her to hide the secret. They tell her that living forever is more painful than it sounds, and that they believe giving away the secret of the spring will lead everyone to want to drink from it and worry it might fall into the wrong hands. A man in a yellow suit befriends the Fosters while Winnie is gone. He spies on the Tucks and desires the spring to sell the water. He makes a deal to return Winnie in exchange for the forest. He goes to the Tucks and orders them to reveal where the spring is. When they deny any knowledge of it, he threatens Winnie with a pistol. He calls their bluff by shooting Jesse and exposing his immortality. But in return, Jesse's mother, May, kills him with the butt end of a rifle. A constable arrives and arrests May and Angus. May is sentenced to be hanged for murdering this man. After being returned home, Winnie is woken by Jesse, who begs her to help him free his parents. The family fears that if May is hanged the next day, she won't die and their immortality will be exposed to the public. Winnie helps Jesse and Miles to break the Tucks out of jail and says goodbye to them. Jesse, who has fallen in love with Winnie, asks her to join them, but Angus warns her that it is dangerous to go with them as they will be hunted. Jesse tells Winnie to drink from the spring so that she will live forever and never age, and that he will come back for her when it's all safe. Then he leaves, promising to love her until the day he dies. After the Tucks depart, Winnie chooses not to drink the water, as Angus warned her that being immortal is far worse than living a typical life and that she should not fear death. More than 85 years later, in the present day, Jesse returns to Tree Gap on a motorcycle. He goes into the woods and at the base of the great tree finds Winnie's headstone marking the site where the spring once stood. The stone reads that Winnie became a wife and mother before passing away at 100 years of age. Jesse sits at her grave, smiling through his tears and remembering her. Okay, upon doing my research on this film, I found out that it was made by Disney and I had no idea. Disney was honestly dropping the gems back in the early 2000s. I feel like it's highly underrated and I kind of want to go and get the book and read it because I feel like it'll be like a classic romance. This movie really hit me as a 10-year-old because Tuck was just, look at him. He's a beautiful man. He looked youthful and I was always so captivated by Alexis's eyes. Now, I knew nothing about Gilmore Girls when this movie premiered. I just remember watching this on TV. Maybe like ABC Family when they would air the good stuff. Anyway, the fact that she didn't drink from the well messed me up because young love was really something to grapple with and hard to get over. She was better than me because I would have watched all my friends and family die and went out and looked for my man. Like, she literally never left the town. Like, at no point did she leave the town to go look for this man. Like, she didn't wait a couple of years. She didn't go out and say, hey, let me go figure out if he's still around somewhere, or maybe he went to the next town over, or like he didn't think to visit her in a couple of years. I don't know. Maybe the people who was trying to kill them got older, and you think to yourself, okay, they're old, they're dying, they're not thinking about getting these people and exposing them for immortality. I'm gonna go find them. No, she's like, no, I'm gonna stay here. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this well. She obviously finds a way to get rid of the well because now the well is replaced with a tree in her gravestone. So I don't know. I just thought it was just like, I would have went and got my man, period. But that's just me. But at the same time, on the other hand, I guess I get why she thought to herself, maybe, I don't want to watch all these people in my life that, my mom, my dad, my siblings, the people around me just die and I'm just this young girl forever and ever. I don't know. Maybe she felt like she wouldn't be able to survive in the 2000s or the 1990s because she lived until 1999. I don't know. Maybe she was just like, by the time the 90s hit, this is really weird. Civil rights was a thing. She had to start sharing bathrooms with black people. I don't know. Maybe she just thought like, this is weird. Like, I gotta get the heck out of here. I don't know. Check it out. If you've never seen Tuck Everlasting, it's pretty good. Number 3, 500 Days of Summer is a 2009 American romantic comedy drama film. Tom Hansen is an inspiring architect who works as a writer at a greeting card company. He meets Summer Finn, a new employee. They discover that they have a similar taste in music. Later, at a karaoke night for their work, they talk about love. Tom believes in it, but Summer does not. Tom's friend and coworker, Mackenzie, drunkenly reveals that Tom likes Summer, which he asserts is only as friends, something Summer agrees with. A few days later, Summer spontaneously kisses Tom in the office. Summer is not looking for a serious relationship. Tom agrees to a casual relationship. That night, they have sex. Tom is elated. After several months of dating, they grow closer. Both Tom's friends and his preteen half-sister Rachel push him to ask Summer where they are in their relationship, though Summer brushes this off, saying that it should not matter if they are both happy. One night, Tom gets into a fight with a man who tries to pick Summer up in a bar, causing their first argument. They make up and Summer concedes Tom deserves some certainty, but demanding she promise to always feel the same way about him would be impossible for anyone to make. Summer quits the greeting card company. Tom's boss moves him to the constellations department as his depression is making him unsuitable for happier events. Tom goes on a blind date with a woman named Allison. Tom spends the date talking about Summer until Allison leaves, exasperated. Months later, Tom attends co-worker Millie's wedding and tries to avoid Summer on the train, but she spots him and invites him for coffee. They have a good time at the wedding, dance together, and Summer catches the bouquet. She invites Tom to a party at her apartment, falling asleep on his shoulder on the ride back. He attends the party, hoping to rekindle their relationship, but barely interacts with Summer, spending most of the night drinking alone until he spots her engagement ring. Tom leaves devastated. Further depressed, he only leaves his apartment for alcohol and junk food. After a few days, he returns to work, hungover, and after an emotional outburst, quits. Rachel tells Tom that she does not believe Summer was the one, and that he is only remembering happy memories of the relationship. Tom thinks harder, finally seeing moments of incompatibilities he overlooked and warning signs he missed on the day of the breakup. One day, Tom finds the energy to get out of bed and rededicates himself to architecture, as Summer had encouraged him to do. He assembles a portfolio and secures job interviews. Summer visits Tom at his favorite spot in the city. He tells her he left the office and notes that she got married, which he cannot comprehend as she never wanted to be someone's girlfriend. Summer says she got married because she felt sure, which she did not with Tom. When he says he was wrong about true love existing, she counters that he was right about it, just wrong about it being with her. She tells him she is glad he is doing well. Tom wishes her happiness. On Wednesday, May 23rd, Tom meets a woman applying for the same job. He finds she shares his favorite spot and invites her for coffee afterwards. She politely declines, then changes her mind. Her name is Autumn. Okay, so I randomly watched this movie one day, just in my single life, just hanging out at home. It was literally a Saturday, and I was looking for a 2000s movie, and I was like, I've never seen this movie, 500 Days of Summer. And I know it's weird that I'm putting it on this list of like the greatest love lists, the greatest love stories of all time for the 2000s. But I have to say it fits because it's like sometimes your love story doesn't always look the same as everyone else's. And sometimes there are a couple of bumpy, what was his names, quote unquote. So I highly suggest checking this movie out because it's like when you're at the point where you're like on your last hope, you're just like, man, I really want to be with someone. Because I watched this movie a week before I met my husband. And at the end of the movie, I was like, oh my God, when am I gonna meet someone? Like, when am I gonna stop like getting into these situationships? I had just recently got out of a situationship a year prior, and it took me almost 6-7 months to get over this person who wouldn't literally commit to the relationship. And so 500 Days of Summer was just hitting different. So like, if you're at a point in your life where you're just like, God, I just want to be with somebody. Where is my somebody? When am I gonna just meet someone? Like, this is the perfect movie to watch because it encourages you not to give up on love just because you know, your last situation was the person was just not that into you. There's someone for everyone. All right, number 2. The Time Traveler's Wife is a 2009 American romantic science fiction drama starring Rachel McAdams and Eric Bana. Rachel is one of my favorite actors of all time, actually. So this was not hard. She was gonna make this list regardless. So yeah, I love this movie, if you can't tell. In the early 1970s, Henry DeTable is in a car accident that kills his mother, in which he survives by inadvertently time traveling back 2 weeks. Moments later, Henry is helped by an older version of himself who has also traveled back. Unable to control the timing or destinations of his traveling, Henry finds himself drawn to significant people, places, and events in his life, but is incapable of changing events beyond the minor differences his presence creates. In 1991, Henry meets Claire in the library where he works. She is overjoyed to see him, although he is meeting her for the first time. Claire explains that she met Henry's future self when she was a child, and that he informed her then that they would meet in the future, which is happening now. As a child, Claire develops a crush on Henry, and she is upset to learn that he is married. When Claire turns 18, 2 years before their meeting at the library, the older Henry kisses her, leading her to realize that he is her husband in the future. They begin a relationship which is challenged by Henry's disorder. His sporadic time traveling is further complicated by the fact that he arrives at his destinations completely naked. From an early age, he had learned how to pick locks into steel clothing to endure his travels. Among his getaways are many visits to young Claire. From present day Claire's diary, he gets a list of dates when he visited her and gives those to young Claire so that she can be waiting for him with clothes. Claire eventually marries Henry. Henry time travels away ceremony and a visible older version of himself arrives in time to step in. Henry's disappearances take a toll on his relationship with Claire. To make up for this, Henry buys a winning lottery ticket due to having the number in advance, but their relationship still has problems. Henry briefly arrived from another time, leaving them concerned about how long Henry must live. His disorder also makes having a child with Claire seemingly impossible, as Henry's genes causes their unborn fetuses to time travel. However, soon after, Claire gets pregnant one last time by visiting a younger version of Henry and carries the baby to full term. Before the child is born, Henry travels forward in time and happily meets their preteen daughter, Alba. She tells him that she is a time traveler too, but has increasing control over when and where she travels. Alba tells Henry that he will die when she is 5 years old, a fact that Henry hides from his wife Claire. Alba's preteen self, who ultimately tries to prepare her younger self and Henry's death, visits young Alba sporadically. During Alba's 5th birthday party with family and friends, Claire is devastated to discover Henry's impending death. Later, after suffering from severe frostbite from a time jump gone wrong and temporarily using a wheelchair, Henry time travels again and is accidentally shot by Claire's father, who is hunting elk. Henry turns in time to die in Claire's arms. Some years later, a younger Henry visits Alba and Claire, giving Claire hope that he will visit again, though he tells her not to spend her life waiting for him, hoping this encounter would provide a proper closure for Claire and Alba. Okay, this movie just breaks my heart. It's so unfair at times, but I guess the bright side is that he has the ability to always go back to see them, but he doesn't know because he doesn't have any control. I don't know. I've been waiting years for them to give us a part 2 to this movie, and to my surprise, they dropped a television version on HBO, I believe a year ago. I never watched it because I just couldn't stand to see these characters played by anyone else. They had a lot of chemistry and it just all made sense. Maybe one day I'll get over myself and give it a try. I don't know. I love this movie so much that I'm still to this day trying to convince my husband to name one of our children Alba. It's a no for him right now, but I mean, let's be honest. I'm doing the hard work. Let me name the kids. You know what I mean? I'm gonna name my child Alba, all right? One of them kids will be Alba, okay? But yeah, I think some people might think this movie is really weird because it has the little girl kind of like having a crush on the older version of him, kind of knowing that one day that she would marry him. I don't know. And then like the fact that he shows up naked. But honestly, in the movie, he kind of like, she sets his clothes back like on a rock behind trees so he could get dressed before, you know, he presents himself to her. So I guess that would help you. It didn't bother me at all. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's still a great movie and it's like heart-wrenching. I cry every time. Rachel just does something to me. Like she can literally be in any kind of movie and I love it. So yeah, check it out. Okay, what do you think of my list so far? Have you seen these movies before? Have you heard of these movies before? I know I kind of went through the description and I went through the end, so it's a lot of spoilers, but I mean, these movies have been out for a decade now, so I think you can still watch these movies even though I'm explaining to you what they are and still really enjoy them. But let's talk about my number one. It's A Walk to Remember. And honestly, I can talk about this movie all day because I absolutely love this movie. When I tell you, it's like I know every word, I know every song. I'm the friend that if you watch it with me, I'm sorry, I'm gonna say every word, I'm gonna sing every song. Like I can't. It's one of those movies that I watch and you won't enjoy watching it with me because I'm just gonna say everything. So, or maybe you enjoy that. I don't know. Okay, A Walk to Remember. A Walk to Remember is a 2002 American coming-of-age romantic drama. The popular, rebellious teenager Landon Carter is threatened with being expelled from school after he and his friends leave evidence of underage drinking on the school grounds and seriously injure another student as the result of a prank. The head of the school gives Landon the choice of being expelled or atoning for his actions by tutoring fellow students and participating in the school play. During these functions, Landon notices Jamie Sullivan, a girl he has known since kindergarten and who has attended many of the same classes as him, and who is also the local minister's daughter. Since he's one of the in crowd, he has seldom paid any attention to Jamie, who wears modest dresses all the time and owns only one sweater. She makes no attempt to wear makeup or otherwise improve her looks or attract attention to herself. Landon has trouble learning his lines for the play. Jamie, who is also in the play, agrees to help him on one condition. Jamie warns Landon not to fall in love with her. That's my favorite bit. I love when she says that. Promise not to fall in love with me. I love it. Landon and Jamie begin practicing together at her house after school. They get to know each other and a spark of affection arises between them. On the opening night of the play, Jamie astounds Landon and the entire audience with her beauty and her voice. On stage at the peak of the ending to the play, Jamie sings. When Jamie finishes, Landon kisses her, which is not part of the play. Jamie avoids Landon after the play, and it's not until Landon's friends play a cruel prank on Jamie and he protects her in opposition to his friends that she warms up to him again. Landon asks Jamie on a first date soon after, but Jamie says her father doesn't allow her to date. Landon asks her father if he can date his daughter. Reluctantly at first, he gives in. On their first date, Landon helps Jamie to fulfill her list of things she wants to achieve in life, such as being in 2 places at once and getting a tattoo. After that, they go to the dock. Jamie tells Landon about how she experiences belief and how it's like the wind. It is then that he tells her he might want to kiss her now. On another date where Jamie is very silent and unfocused, Landon asks Jamie what her plans for the future are. She then confesses she isn't making any because she has leukemia and hasn't been responding to treatment. A desperate Landon asks for his father's help in curing her, but is disappointed by his reply and heads on a long drive home thinking about Jamie. One by one, his friends become aware of the tragedy looming for Jamie and Landon. They give their support to him. Jamie's condition grows worse and she gets sent to the hospital. Still in the hospital, Jamie gives Landon a book that once belonged to her mother. She states that maybe God sent Landon to her to help her through rough times and that Landon is her angel. Unbeknownst to Landon, Jamie is given private home care by Landon's estranged father, relieving her father's financial burden. Landon visits his dad, tearfully thanking him for his help. They embrace and are reunited. Landon is building a telescope for Jamie to be able to see a one-time comet in the springtime. Jamie's father helps him get it finished in time. The telescope is brought to her on the balcony. She gets a beautiful view of the comet through the new telescope. It is then that Landon asks her to marry him. Jamie tearfully accepts and they get married in the church in which her deceased mother got married. Jamie and Landon spend their last summer together, filled with a deep love like no other. Jamie dies at the summer's end. 4 years later, Landon has finished college and gets accepted into medical school. Landon visits Reverend Sullivan to return to him Jamie's Bible that belonged to her mother. Landon apologizes to the Reverend that Jamie did not witness a miracle, an ambition she expressed in the class yearbook. The Reverend disagrees, saying that in fact she did and that her miracle was Landon. Landon visits the docks, contemplating the belief that although Jamie is dead, that she is with him. It is then that he understands love is like the wind. You can't see it, but you can feel it. And that will preach. Man. This is one of my all-time favorites. If you know anything about Nicholas Sparks, you know he likes to kill a character. All right, he will kill him dead. There's nothing like watching a Nicholas Sparks movie, enjoying it, loving the love that you're seeing on the screen, and then BAM! He kills a freaking character. And you're like, wait, I didn't know you was gonna... And he will kill a main character. That's the thing. The thing about Nicholas is he don't care. He at least will give them majority of the movie. He literally makes you fall in love with the character, and then like midway through the movie, he's like, oh, they dead, or they in the hospital for the rest of the movie, and the last 5 minutes they dead. And I'm just like, God. My God. No Mercy. Speaking of No Mercy, if you've ever seen A Walk to Remember, No Mercy. Don't worry, I won't kill you. Man, the playlist. Oh, I just love everything about this movie. I know pretty much all the words and literally one of the best soundtracks ever. I remember seeing this for the first time and I obviously thought Landon was the cutest thing walking. And he was like the bad boy vibes. Like he was like the guy you wanted to be with in high school. And I was definitely into that. I felt like everyone played the role really well. Mandy Moore is a better actor than she is singer, so she killed that. Even though she had like a little bit in the movie where she pretty much, well, she has a couple of songs that she sings, but she sounded really good. But I do feel like Mandy Moore is a better actor than she is singer. Well, she's more successful being an actress than she is being a singer. Let me just say that. Watch A Walk to Remember. It's really good. It's really teenagey, boppy, very lovey-dovey, and then tragic. It's the perfect romantic comedy, to be fair. All right, babes, that is my top 5 greatest love stories of the early 2000s. This list could honestly be longer because there are so many more movies to review. Hopefully, there's a movie on this list that you haven't seen and you want to check out now. Leave a comment and share your thoughts. Follow, like, and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching Little Miss Popular.